Yo, what's poppin'? All my peeps, it is I, your host with the most Renaissance man who always thinks he can, and champion of the peeps, Patty Pitts, back in the yard of streams for another edition of Pitts and Sara's Wrestling Show, where we take no nights off. And you can't have Pitts and Sara's Wrestling Show without the best of the West you can't forget about. Sarah Marshall, what's poppin', girl?
Hey, yo.
Hello. Sorry.
What's poppin'?
Hello.
How we doing? It's Friday and we're recording.
Yeah, it is.
We
are.
That's it.
Yeah. Sorry. I'm just happy to be here.
Love you see, you got a smile on your face. You got flying Elvis on your head. All right.
Yeah.
It's a great day to have a day here in the Art of Streams because one, personally, well, it's a great day. I have off tomorrow. All right, we got off.
Oh, cool. You didn't tell me that.
I didn't just find out. It was yesterday. It's been a crazy week. But I have off tomorrow.
Sweet.
Which we all know why that's important at this point if you're in the Art of Streams.
Mm-hmm.
So tonight will be a great night in the sense that, one, I don't have to force myself to go to sleep at 9:30 or right after SmackDown.
Mm-hmm.
I can watch Rampage live because we got a second TV for it. And better yet, we can actually watch Crown Jewel. Don't have to rush home. I can just do my thing. Don't have to be Mr. Popular this weekend. I love it. Thank God. It is exhausting, Sarah. Okay, I don't think I told you this story, but from the Halloween party, you're probably expecting or would expect at least a crazy story of something I did or whatever. I fell asleep at said party at 9:30 at night.
Oh, okay.
Luckily I was staying.
Did you go as a grandpa?
Well, did you see the beard? We got to dress like an old grandpa with the outfit. Maybe it just played. But no, it was 9:30. I passed out. Don't remember falling asleep. And not because I ate too much to drink. It's what happens when you wake up at 4 in the morning and have to then be a person. So I'm very happy that we can also sleep in and then watch this tomorrow. We can watch Crown Jewel. And you're probably wondering, oh, what are your predictions for it, guys? That way the show's going to be about today? No, we have those predictions. We did that stream. Go check out our whole show on the YouTube channel, Sarah's YouTube channel, Sara Marshall WWE, for all that and more. But Sarah, we've been talking about Crown Jewel. We've been talking really building up that show. We got to step out. We got to talk about what's just going on in the wrestling world because every week they give us content to talk about. It's the gift that keeps on giving. And then they also give us stuff that we don't really particularly like, which is a perfect time to bring us to
Don't be a lemon, be a rosebud.
Rosebud.
Don't be a lemon, Sarah. Be a rosebud. It is our lemon and rosebud of the week. For any new peeps in the Art of Streams, first off, welcome. And second off, lemon and rosebud. Pretty much, Sarah and I give our favorite and least favorite thing we saw in wrestling this week. And I've been royal rambling on here, Sarah. So why don't you take what's your rosebud? Bud.
I wanted to talk about it because we didn't get to talk about SmackDown last week. And that is the contract signing between LA Knight and Roman Reigns. So first of all, I think it's going to be probably one of my favorite moments of the entire year in WWE. I think it hands down is going to be like one of my favorite moments because it started so so good. You know, it was like, okay, Roman's coming out, like doing his thing, taking his time, slower than the Undertaker, you know. And right as he's about to lift the championship for everybody to acknowledge him, we hear LA Knight. And I just start dying, you know, because I'm like, oh my God, that was perfect. It was perfectly timed. And not only that, he comes out, does not even look at the man. Like he's like, oh no, okay, I'm coming out, I'm doing my thing. And then he gets in the ring. He notices Paul Heyman is moving the one chair to the head of the table, and he decides, nope, I'm sitting there. I'm just like, you know, it's these little things that like don't. I mean, it's like it adds to the story, but it's not significant, I guess, if that's the right word. So it's just like these little moments that I was like, oh my God, this was like perfectly put together. Like, I don't know who came up with all of this, but like kudos to you because it was brilliant. And then, you know, just then the conversation, obviously he's a talker, so he sounded great, but him mentioning suffering succotash.
That was he means business if he's dropping that one.
But even Roman kind of like smirked because he knows that there are some really cringy moments of him, you know, like
really cringy.
I think he even talked about it on Logan Paul's podcast about when Cena called him out for dropping the ball during a promo. And he was saying how he cooked him, you know, like he's very aware. So I loved that he did that. I love that he said that he was sitting at the head of the table. So acknowledge me. I was just like, oh my God, this dude is on fire right now. And so everything that could have, like when you were thinking about the contract signing, I did not anticipate it to be like that. I did not anticipate it to be that good, that entertaining. I didn't expect it to be something that I would actually like go back and watch again, because contract signings are not usually that great. They're very predictable, and of course this ended the exact same way that
it has to. It has to.
But like everything leading up to it was so good, and I swear I don't think I've ever gone back and like rewatched a contract signing because they're never good enough to go back and watch. But that was just like, it's just I don't have words. It was just great, and I'm so happy for LA Knight. You could just tell that he was like soaking in that moment. Especially when the crowd started saying Roman scared, like he was just like loving every second of it. And I was like, yes, you deserve this, you know, because like he's worked his ass off to get there. So
he's the most over man in wrestling right now.
And what's crazy
it's
is
unbelievable.
Like, you know, he says that because obviously he straddles the line of being good guy, bad guy, whatever. But then also he's aware of it, right? But the thing is I think that his rise to where he is now should be like a class in college. You know what I mean? Like it's something that I feel like you really need to do a deep dive in, because we've been fans of his before he blew up. So it's like, you know, we didn't jump on the train like a lot of other people did, which I don't blame them. But it's kind of hard to figure out like, okay, what exactly happened to get people to be like so excited and so supportive of him? Like, where was the shift? When did it happen? What was it that he did or what he said that got people to finally go absolutely bananas for him every single time, you know? And
I get that.
You know, like he even said it I believe in the contract signing, where he was saying like, I'm the fastest growing superstar in SmackDown history, because if you thought where he was just a year ago, nobody was cheering for LA Knight. No one cared about him, like other than the people
who wasn't even on Mania, and they had it in LA. It's the easiest marketing thing.
I know, but we're talking about a year ago, like last October is what I mean. Like,
didn't he come around at this time last year?
Yes, that's when he finally came back to being like LA Knight. But I'm saying like no one besides basically the loyal NXT audience really cared at that moment, because the only LA Knight that people who watched Raw and SmackDown were familiar with was Max Dupree, you know? So no one it was like exciting for some, obviously, when he dropped the model scout gimmick and became LA Knight again, but it wasn't this, you know? So it's like to try and really go back and figure it out would be really intriguing to look, because it's like that's the beauty of professional wrestling. There might not even be an answer. We just all collectively decided one day, hey, we like this guy, so we're just gonna cheer for him because everyone else is, you know.
Yeah,
That's how it feels.
it really feels like that. I remember Humble Wrestling, popular Twitter account, posted something and kept posting about him. I'm like, who the hell is this guy? And then he pops up on my TikTok and YouTube shorts and whatnot. And I'm just watching these clips, and he really reminds me of The Rock, and not in the gimmick stealing way, but in the presentation way, the aura way. You know, what made The Rock so good? He's not
Mhm.
stealing any of his catchphrases. He's not doing any of that shit. So before anyone jumps down my throat, but he's doing it in the similar fashion where he has sayings of his or whatnot that just
Mhm.
hit.
Mhm.
And we haven't even seen all of them yet. If
Yeah.
I'm like, I'm still waiting for him to bring back Dummy. I
Mhm.
just whenever that happens, and that is what WWE is craving right now, is a guy like that who, it's the authenticity. Like that's who he is. It's maybe obviously leveled
Heightened.
up, yeah, heightened or
Well,
elevated for the ego,
that's
but
what he said. He said basically LA Knight is just a bigger version of Sean Ricker. It's like
which
he's like,
that's
this
one of
is
the
what I
best.
do, this is how I
Yeah,
act. So that's why I think it resonates with people.
it's the authenticity.
Yeah.
Everyone loves someone who's just authentic. They are just them. If
Yeah.
it's turned up to 11, well, you know what? Everyone goes up to 11 sometimes. So,
Mhm.
it's all about that, just that aura and that energy he brings, that you just want to cheer for him. And even the music to compliment him is just so perfect. Like when the stars align like that,
Mhm.
it just hits, and it's so incredible. I cannot wait for the eventual Revolution to do that deeper dive, and we get like that account is being talked about by him.
I
I think
know.
that like everyone.
Shout out Tim,
Shout out
because
Tim, bro.
I mean, he puts in work for that account.
He really
So,
does.
and then of course it's been uh seen by LA Knight. Eric Bischoff has talked about it. So I think, I don't know if Kevin Nash has, but yeah, there's a few that like are aware of its existence, and of course the most important being LA Knight. So that's pretty cool.
It is. It's unbelievable. Yeah. So, switching gears to my Rosebud, and by switching gears completely to a different promotion, AEW is putting on some of the best work right now.
We were
Okay,
literally just talking about how people don't agree with that.
what?
I just told you that hardcore AEW fans do not think that, but I'm not surprised that you think that and the others don't.
Well, I'm more talking about the MJF whole
Oh,
thing,
okay.
not
Okay.
the what we talked about. No, the whole MJF, even Adam Cole with him being injured,
Mhm.
the adding Max Caster to the whole thing, bringing the Twitter mentions, replies, quote tweets that the love fest he put on Twitter, they made it into an actual segment, and low key kind of connecting story with the overall theme of this Adam Cole MJF little saga, the overall theme.
Mhm.
It's so incredible because to me, it feels like it's very real. Like it's just in a wrestling, like it's just thin moments and different scenarios that you deal with as a person. You know, having that friend that you're all in on, and they're just like, "Bro, get away from me." You have
Mhm.
that friend that you're buddy with, and want to make sure how they're doing after surgery, or even winning tag team gold, but maybe whatever. And then you have that friend. Everyone has that friend that's just like, "Dude, you're so annoying. Like you're so like you want so much from me. All this." It's very relatable,
Mhm.
and it connects with MJF's pretty much 180 into from being the most hated, disrespected wrestler, not only in the locker room but in AEW, to the fans. like the most over, most pro AEW for the company. Like, it's so fascinating to watch, and I put it not on the same level as the Bloodline for obvious reasons, but it's as entertaining and captivating, but in a very different way, which is what you need to do as the alternative, is find that story like a Bloodline that made WWE so popular right now, or kept them this popular, whatever. And you need to find that story, whatever it is, and just elevate it, whole 9 yards, do whatever you got to do. And that's what they're doing with this. I mean, the fact that the Acclaimed and MJF are scissoring in the middle of the ring is unbelievable. And the mini rosebud from this, which this was probably my favorite moment, actual moment of the week, was when Max Caster, he takes the bell shot from Switchblade. Instead of MJF, he goes down and they're all huddling over him. And MJF's like feeling guilt, something that the devil probably doesn't do. And Max Caster just goes up for the scissors, and he does that. And MJF puts it down like, dude, come on. Like, I know what you just did, but this is ridiculous. And Billy Gunn, daddy ass, screaming in his face, you scissor that motherfucker, or you fucking scissor him right now. It was just like, that was just real television and captivating, and actually makes me a fan of everyone. Like, that's what wrestling is, but it's what the alternative to the main product is. And I look forward to Dynamite every week because
I have a question.
Yes.
It's kind of random, but kind of not. Because you mentioned MJF becoming like super over, like babyface, pro AEW, whatever. How do you think AEW fans would react if MJF jumped ship? Do you think that, like, if out of all of the people who could possibly jump ship, that his would be like the most explosive? Like, people would feel the most betrayed, or like out of all of the people in AEW,
there are only a few off the top of my head, and probably that I can count on my fingers. And by that, I'm counting the entire elite, not Kenny, Young Buck, all that. It would be like the elite, Darby Allin.
People would feel that way about him going to WWE.
But because he's so pro AEW and the way he speaks about it, it would be very like, what the fuck? Whatever, Darby. MJF is the next person up that I think people would be revolting, because he was their legit first homegrown talent and carried the company on his back for this entire year, and what he's done at Wembley, even pivoting from the Adam Cole stuff, winning the ROH tag titles and elevating Ring of Honor. It would be a massive slap in the face, even more so, I think, to AEW. And it might, I don't want to say might, because I think there's another variable that would play into their demise, but it would be definitely the beginning of the end, for sure.
If MJF left,
it would at least, the cracks would start to,
because it feels like Cody leaving was significant because of his ties to the company itself, not just as a performer, but like, the starting of the company and whatever. Jade felt like a big deal, but not as massive as I think there are others, that I think if they had left, like we're saying, like MJF, I think that would have been a little bit more significant. And I think it might have been more so the timing of Jade leaving is what made it not feel as big, because she had just returned and whatever. I think if it was like at the height of all of her success and then she was like, peace, then it would have been a bigger deal.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think if MJF left, that would be big. And it's also interesting because I was saying to you when we've talked about him in the past that he needed to have a good run as a babyface so that he could show that he's a dynamic person and can do everything. And now that he's doing that and he's successfully doing it, he's a very well-rounded performer, which is like, okay, well, WWE is going to be more interested now whenever he becomes a free agent, because now they know, okay, we can bring him in and we can use him in any way that we want. But I'm interested to see what happens over the next like couple years with some of the guys that were like homegrown AEW. Because what if it becomes more of like, because obviously we know NJF has had background roles within WWE. He sent in tryouts for Tough Enough, so he's wanted to be in WWE. But I'm curious if at some point when people get to a level, if they're gonna kind of treat AEW as almost like the minor leagues. And they're there to like establish themselves, learn the craft, do this and do that, and then they're like, all right, I'm off to bigger and better things, and they go to WWE. I'm just curious to see if that's happening, because that kind of seems like what happened with Jade. So I'm curious if there's going to be other guys that are going to do that too.
It'd be more yes, I agree in a sense.
But it would have to be like people who started in WWE, like weren't really anything. Like I'm not saying the elite. Like no, people.
The elite. Yeah, you can't.
Like MJF's, Jade's, like those types.
Ricky Starks.
Yeah, well, duh, that's happening. We know
that's happening. Talk about someone who's made for WWE. It's Ricky Starks.
Well, and your closest ally is Cody Rhodes. So like, if this was Cody Rhodes circa 2012, I don't think that we would be saying it. But I mean, who's better to have on your side than him right now?
And the American Nightmare himself.
Mm-hmm.
We got Vinny. Oh, let's get some comments before Lemon. David, what's up? Our Kingdom of Razor, I mean, what's up? David says, what's up? Booking question. I did see it. I will get to it before we enter the WTF is going on. And then Vinny in the house.
What up?
Bidding War 2024 pits. Yeah, I know, man. I know it's going to be probably the most exciting time in wrestling because the bidding war for MJF in 2024.
Oh, right. Yeah. Well,
we might see some pipe bombs.
It might. It's a thing. The thing with him though is he does strike me as the type that will want to chase money, but because there is quite a bit of months, obviously, between now and when his contract is up, he's going to be able to solidify himself even further than where he's at right now. So he's going to understand how valuable he is. So it's going to be interesting to see what exactly his priorities are. Are your priorities money, and that's where you're going to go whoever pays you the most? Are you going to chase the ring, which I would say is WWE? Or do you want to stay where you know you're appreciated, where you know you're a top guy, where you started and you feel loyalty? And that's the thing that I think is interesting when it comes to wrestling, because we know in the big scheme of things, when it comes to professional sports, there is no loyalty.
There's no loyalty. It's business.
So, but that's what makes wrestling a little bit more interesting, because people are in charge of themselves. There isn't someone else that's determining, where they play, where they wrestle. They're in charge of it themselves. So I think that's going to make the whole situation around him even more interesting, because you're going to be like, okay, what is he going to prioritize? I don't think that it's going to really like say a whole lot about him. I feel like people need to get to a point where, like, if he did go to WWE, AEW fans have to recognize why talent would do that. And that it isn't always a shot at AEW. But if this, like, clearly MJF grew up a gigantic wrestling fan and always dreamt about being in WWE, because that was the only company that really people ever aspired to be in. So that is not something that's going to ever go away, no matter who they are, because it is a nostalgia thing. It's a childhood thing. Like, it's a dream that you never let go of. And it is the superior company that is going to put you on the map worldwide. So, like, it's, I mean, I'm not saying like MJF is going to WWE, but it is one of those things where it's like WWE fans kind of understand why talent, if they are let go from WWE, why they go to AEW. Like, it makes sense, but we need to see the reverse too, and it not feel like you're being betrayed.
Yeah, exactly. It's sometimes,
you can still root for him, dude. Like, you can still be a fan of him if he went somewhere else. Like, are you going to say if he went to TNA that you'd be like, F this guy?
Yeah, like, exactly. Like, do we... Yeah, this is why it's not a team sport. You can root for guys. This is why there's other avenues. You know, it's nice that fact. You don't have to stick to one team. You can stick to one person and watch them and root them. Like that's what it's really all about.
Well, and if you're a fan of him, MJF, as a person, and he decided to go to WWE, you would probably have to just look at it and be like, okay, why did he choose that? And obviously, for the most part, it's like someone is not going to choose to go into the minor leagues of baseball if they had the opportunity to go to the major leagues. You know, like you would be questioning more why they were like, no, I'll just go play with the guys who aren't good enough to play in the major leagues. Like that would be more questionable. But when it comes to this, like if he stayed in AEW, fine, that makes sense. That's where you are. That's where you're appreciated. That's where you started. But if he goes to WWE, you also have to understand why they would make that decision too. And it's not all about turning their back on you. And the irony of that is the same people who would feel that way are the people that still cheer for CM Punk and want him to come back to WWE when he literally walked out on you 10-something years ago.
I really want CM Punk to come back to WWE.
All right, I don't even want to have this conversation right now.
Okay, well then that's something you don't like. Continue to tell me what you don't like with your lemon.
Okay, well then I guess that'll be it. But I'm not gonna clip this because I have had so many clipped videos about CM Punk, and I had emotional CM Punk fans in my YouTube comments over the past couple days, and I called them little crybabies.
The Pepsi peeps.
They're so annoying. I guess like they're literally. So
I know that
they're so
really
sensitive.
They're really
and
sensitive.
it's like. And it's all because of our opinion. You know, the comments are coming up on videos where we said that because the most recent one was that we didn't feel like CM Punk really fits in the current landscape of WWE. So we were saying that like when we were trying to figure out in what capacity he would return and where he would fit in and who he would feud, or like why would it make sense for him to come back other than the fact that he is CM Punk, you know what I mean? Like we were saying we couldn't figure it out. This one guy called me out and said that, you know, he didn't understand that because like, well, it's CM Punk. Like, of course it makes sense. And I'm like, all right, just say you're a CM Punk fan.
Yeah.
But then he's like, and then you lost me when you said that Randy doesn't fit in either. And I was like, we never said that. We said that when we were trying to figure out where Randy fits into everything right now, we couldn't figure out be like, okay, what story is he going to return a part of? That's all
completely different.
I'm like, stop being such a sensitive Punk fan. Like, I don't agree with you. You think that he fits into it. I don't think that Punk makes any sense because WWE is not in that era anymore where they're really reliant on having big names really run the company. Like, I get what Cena said where he was in that interview with I think it was with Corey Graves, where he was saying that he feels like they need to have like a guy be the face of this current era, and we don't really have that because partly I would say it's because Triple H came into this and this era kind of started under him, but there was already so many established dudes that you don't associate being a Triple H guy. And I think we just haven't gotten there yet because I'm sure it's probably going to be an NXT guy, or LA Knight could end up being the face of this era because he did have his rise to stardom since Triple H took over. So I agree with that. And, if we go back 10 years, they were reliant on John Cena, Randy Orton, CM Punk, The Undertaker, Kane, like any of those dudes. We're not at that point anymore. Like, there's a reason why Cena is able to return in the capacity that he does, where he's kind of just like an extra, and I don't mean that in a disrespectful way, but it's not like John Cena is headlining this. It's like, no, it's LA Knight, it's the Brawling Brutes, it's Austin Theory, Grayson Waller, like it's not John Cena and friends, And so I think that's more of the point that we were trying to make about Punk, where it's like, he would be more of a guy that like what AEW did, where they are very reliant on trying to pull in people, fans to watch because of the nostalgia factor that a lot of the guys they sign bring. Hence why they signed CM Punk to begin with. So, but WWE is not in that space anymore. Not to mention it's Triple H. Triple H is not doing that. That's a Vince thing. Vince thing. I'm just over the conversation about Punk. If it happens, it happens. If it doesn't, it doesn't. We need to stop making every teeny tiny thing into, oh, that's a hint that Punk's coming back, or I'm gonna, run through a wall if he doesn't, and I'm gonna stop watching WWE because they're teasing it. Like, stop. Just stop. Like, it's not that serious. Get excited if it happens and be disappointed AF if it doesn't, because you set yourself up to be that way. So that would be my lemon, because I'm like, I'm tired of it. I'm tired of all the comments. I'm tired of, like, we're gonna get like a pretty deadly match and they're gonna do something and they'll be like, oh my god, Elton just hinted that CM Punk is returning, and it's like, no, he didn't. He just took a bump. I don't know what are you saying? But that's like the point we're at right now.
At this point, they're referencing stuff that he said and being serious about it, not just memes. And I can't tell if they're serious or not. Like, I don't remember him saying it or whatever. Like, I wouldn't say I'm a massive CM Punk fan, but I loved Punk in WWE and whatnot. So I'm pretty familiar with what he's said and not said and whatnot. And I just don't see like half of these. So
I think the thing is that people are looking for like the most obscure moment that's happening or something that's being said to try and connect it to him, and that's why they've gotten themselves in this hole into believing that Punk is for sure coming back. Whereas I feel like, when Bray was coming back, they had so many hints that it was obvious that it was Bray, because it was like collectively we all knew that was a hint at Bray, and we didn't have to sit there and really try and figure it out or Google search to see, oh, Punk said that in 2010. Like, if they were going to say something about Punk or try to allude to something coming back, I think that it would be like a thing that a lot of people who have been watching WWE over the last 10, 15 years, everybody would understand the tease, not like 5 guys on Twitter that are like, oh my god, like, no. I think it would be like an overall thing, what I'm saying?
It would be an overall thing and not just the USA Network social media
just trolling.
team.
People are just trolling because it's funny at this point.
Oh, when they do it, I cackle. It's so funny. They are so spot on with it.
But this is, I agree, like with David, I want Punk back for the return. That's all. And Cult of Personality. That's all. But again, I listen to Cult of Personality anyway. So do I really need it? No. But
what do you see?
All right, they don't sound that whiny.
Okay. My lemon, I don't really like have a specific one, to be quite honest. I thought everything was really good this week. Really kind of entertaining. Yeah, it's kind of it. I'm not gonna lie here, Sarah. I don't really have.
No, that's happened to me plenty of times. I've come on here and been like, I don't know.
I got nothing for lemon. The Rosebud was easy.
I think that's being realistic though, because it's not real to come in here and be like, I loved everything, I hated everything. It's like sometimes it's just like, yeah, no, I enjoyed everything, or oh, I hated everything. Like, that's just how it is sometimes.
Like, there were things that I particularly didn't like, but they didn't grind my gears to a point I need to get it off my chest like you did. I mean, that's a lemon that you going through. That's your wrestling lemon of the week, hands down. For having the Pepsi Peeps coming at you, that's tough.
Oh yeah, but I just gave it back to them. Like, I'm not scared. Like, if you're gonna come at me and like, because the thing is at the end of the day, all I'm doing is like expressing an opposing opinion, and I don't know where in this fake rule book of being a wrestling fan that it says that everyone has to be a fan of everybody that everyone else is. But people have apparently forgotten that I'm entitled to not want CM Punk back or to not be a fan of Punk. And just because you are doesn't mean you have to be nasty and rude and whatever. So that's why I just don't take it seriously, because I'm like, do you know how many years I've loved John Cena and how many of those years people hated him? I did not go in people's YouTube comments or whatever being like, you need to respect him, he is the face of this. Blah, blah. Like, no, I don't care. If you don't like him, fine. Okay. Like, most of the wrestlers that I tend to lean towards, people don't really care about, but I don't care. It almost makes it more fun to be a fan of the guys that people don't really like.
Oh, it's legitimately the best. That's what
Yeah,
I've loved
so
doing my entire wrestling fandom. I
yeah, so
mean,
that's
I
why I'm
could
like,
name
I
you
don't
so
care.
many.
I don't
I
care.
You
Like,
could name, yeah, I bet if you name someone right now from the early 2000s of wrestling, like just randomly, and ask me my opinion of them, and I would probably love them, and everyone else would be like, "Really him, or really her? Like,
mm-hmm,
why?" Like, and that's not just me. That's everybody. That's why wrestling's the best. Is that you can just have some guy, gal, whoever that you just loved for absolutely no reason.
mm-hmm.
That no one else, everyone's like, really? Like that is one of your favorites? So I mean, so I like, for instance, all right, good example, not WWE, but great example. I love Shark Boy from
Alrighty.
TNA. I had a Shark Boy mask and everything. I don't know why, but I just loved him.
A grown man calling himself a boy is interesting.
And then when he took on the Stone Cold persona, I just incredible. Yeah, absolutely incredible. Let me see. Let's get some comments here. CM Punk at the Attitude Era feel WWE loves. He does, but we are in like the social media era, which is just another
But
version of
also,
it.
he had that Attitude Era feel because that's literally how he is as a human being.
It
It wasn't an
really is.
act. It wasn't an act. You know, Stone Cold Steve Austin wasn't walking around being like, hell yeah, and like drinking beers and doing that stuff outside of wrestling. But Punk does that shit outside of wrestling. So that's the part that separates that, I think, a little bit.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. What about Gunther and Imperium getting better?
What about
For
that?
I
What do you mean?
mean, I think he meant for my lemon and not better.
Well, but see, the thing is you don't care really that much.
I
So
get it. That's why I although
imagine
I
not
would
standing Gunther.
Simon Dean. Yes, I friggin' loved Simon Dean. Okay, he
Okay.
was hilarious when he came out on the unicycle scooter. What are those mope? No, what? Why am I Segway? Came out on the Segway. Then he had his gym bag, and then he would do the aesthetics in the ring. He was hilarious. So that's an example of someone that I wish I saw more, honestly. So yeah, enough of that. Cause we need to know what the WTF is going on. Okay. Because there's a lot of just nonsense and shit
Mm,
going on. All right.
mhm.
For one, I think this is just the top of the order. Has to be your QB1 of this segment. Ric Flair is in wrestling again. Ric Flair signed a multi-year deal.
Did they say how many years?
They said multi-year deal.
So that's it. Okay.
With AEW, and it was this is coming after the big gift that Tony Khan gave to Sting, pretty much after he announced that he would be retiring at Full Gear 2024. And Sarah, I laugh at this because I don't hate it. It's not my lemon, obviously. Do I love it? Hell no, either. But when you think of Ric Flair, you think of wrestling. Like he's got to be in wrestling. And I've heard on podcasts that he's gone on in social media clips, whatever, of him saying that he's wanted the itch to get back. And you just can't take the man out of the game. That's really what it comes down to. Is you can't take the player out of the game, and you just when you've done something for so long like he has, you can't just step away from a cold turkey, which these health problems or whatever probably have forced him to do, not on his own accord. And he wants to go out in his way, and this
Mhm.
would be it. I also think he probably wants to manage his son-in-law, so that's another little tidbit
I
there.
mean, I understand why people think it's stupid because I think it's stupid too, but it's not surprising because he's popped up in AEW sporadically over the years. So like I'm not surprised that he would sign a contract. Obviously, this is just another thing that Tony is doing to try and do like a gotcha at WWE, but it's not hitting. just like every other thing that he's done that was a gotcha at WWE. No one cares. And I think this just is another prime example of like what I said earlier, that WWE is not relying on these people anymore. So it's like, is it fine that 74-year-old Ric Flair is signed to AEW? Yeah. Why would Triple H and any of them care? Like, they're still the foundation of like who Ric Flair is, you know, for the most part. So it's not like that's going away. We're not like deleting his legacy basically from what he's done in WWE. And he'll always be relevant because of Charlotte. So it's not like, oh, he's become taboo, we're not talking about him anymore. But I think that I think that people would care less about, other than all of his controversies and the stuff that he says and whatever, like, if putting that aside, I think people have the biggest issue with the fact that he's going to be wrestling and that he'll likely be like Sting's last opponent or something. And I think that's why people are mad, because like nobody wants to see that. Like, literally not a single person on the planet wants to see that. So if he signed a multi-year contract as just like an on-screen persona or like a manager, then I think people would have taken this news a little bit better than the like adverse reaction that continues to be happening on social media. Like, I wouldn't have known about this if it weren't for people being like, WTF, like, what is Tony thinking? Why did he do this? I think if it was a managerial role, then it would have been like, all right, whatever. But the fact that we're going to have to see this man suit up in trunks again.
I don't know if we are. I don't think we'll actually see him wrestle. He's going to take bumps. He's going to take bumps. But
I really would not be surprised if that was part of his contract. He probably wanted to work that in. And I bet you WWE was like, hell no, we're not doing this. You know what I mean? But I wouldn't be surprised if that's something that he manipulated Tony into doing, but it wouldn't take much manipulation for Tony to do that. But I just wouldn't be surprised if he has like, okay, I need to be at least one more. And that's part of his contract. If he was smart, he would have done that. If he really wants to get back in the ring anyway. Like, get it in writing.
I see it being a managerial commentary on like just any on-screen role with the producing, backstage help, influence, whatever you want to call it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, to give the younger guys some lessons, guide them, whatnot. Mentor is the word I'm looking for.
But see, the reaction from people makes it feel like everybody feels it's more than that. Because if it wasn't more than that, then why do you care that much? Like,
but are they thinking that, or do they know that?
No, I know. So what I'm saying is based off of people's reactions, they believe that we are going to see him like in the ring, and that's why people are reacting. Because it's like, I understand he's a very polarizing figure, and I'm not particularly a fan of Ric Flair, obviously, for very clear reasons, given his controversies. But I'm kind of surprised if it really is just in a managerial role, why people are having such a strong reaction, because I feel like that is like the best case scenario if this was going to inevitably happen. If you only have to see him watching Andrade like in a match and maybe hear him talk every now and then, okay, I'd rather that than seeing him suit up every week, you know?
Yeah, because I just want to see Ric Flair. That's really it. Like, he's such a pop culture figure that you just want to see him, where I don't want to see him wrestle.
Yeah,
maybe take a bump if you took like a drop kick or something. Actually,
I think you're in the minority though. I don't think really many people want to see him at all.
I'm used to being in the minority. All right, moving on. Back to WWE. All right.
That was so cute.
That LA Knight is just crushing it already before his match against the Tribal Chief. There's a video that came out today, and we had to bring it up on the show for obvious reasons, of a kid wanting to take LA Knight home with him, like he was just a gift wrapped around your Christmas, or wrapped under the Christmas tree. Thank you.
Like an action figure come to life.
Literally, he thought it was just So, and LA Knight responded with like the best way possible.
Daddy vibes.
Very much dad vibes of, well, I got to go to my home first. Like, will you come home with me? It's like
I can try.
I might have
I'll
to.
try to come. I'll try to make the time.
I might have to. So like,
it just shows you too, like, okay, other than the like zaddy aspect of it, it also just showed you like how worldwide LA Knight has become, because like they're in Saudi Arabia and there's a kid there that is such a fan of him that he literally wants him to like be his friend or like his brother, like
yeah,
and take him home because he's just like, oh my god, I love LA Knight, he's great. And I'm sure like to an extent that's so humbling and like I don't know, kind of I guess in a surreal moment for LA Knight, because most of the time when you're meeting fans, you might meet a kid, but they don't really say a whole lot because they're shy, they're nervous, or like the one that's expressing the most love for you is like a grown man. You know what I mean? Like
yeah,
that's
exactly.
usually what they're listening to. So I can't imagine how cool that must have been to have like this little like 5-year-old boy just be like telling you basically how much of a fan he is, like in Saudi Arabia too. It wasn't like in the middle of, Chicago or whatever. It's like halfway across the world. And that's how much of an impact that you have in the wrestling world. That has to be pretty cool.
Awesome. It's really humbling. It's an awesome experience. We're so happy for him. Like it's someone, you watch that video and that's somebody who could be the face of a company.
That's what everybody was saying too. Everyone, and that's what I was saying too, right? Like when we're talking about Cena saying that there needs to be a face of this current era to kind of like define this era. LA Knight would be the perfect guy because like he other than the fact of his overall appeal clearly worldwide, like I said, he is a Triple H guy basically, because if he weren't, he would have been Max Dupree and probably would have been cut like 10 months ago. So
yeah, it's a story. It's a good way to define the era too of clawing your way to relevancy and just making it whatever way possible, and he personifies that. It's awesome.
I think part of the reason why that's so it's becoming like such a big factor, I think, in a lot of the people that we're seeing become bigger, or like you can tell that they're putting effort and money into, is like Triple H can relate. Triple H wasn't always Triple H. He might have been Hunter Hearst Helmsley, but I mean that man was wearing velour pants and pretending like he was regal. Like we didn't get
Jean-Paul Levesque.
Yeah, we weren't calling him the cerebral assassin. You know what I mean? Like he had to get to that point to become who Triple H is. So obviously it wasn't as much of a struggle as it was for, I don't know, LA Knight, and it didn't happen to him until he was like 40. But I think that he can appreciate the hustle. You know?
Yeah, you can absolutely.
And I think that's like, I like that he's highlighting those types of people, because fans are very aware. A lot of fans anyway are aware of the people that have had to scratch and crawl and whatever to get to where they're at. So
agreed. Some segments here getting on the cutting room floor, Sarah.
Okay,
because we're almost at time for SmackDown, and we need to just talk about what's really on the minds of the IWC. Well, it's Paul White.
Yeah.
It's a big bad Paul White down.
Yeah.
You're so thrilled, Sarah. Just tell me how excited you are, 1 to 10, about Paul White, the Big Show.
-800.
-5 stars.
Yeah. I don't watch AEW. I kind of peek in and see what's going on. So I did see people talking about how this was hinted at, which again is just so funny. It's another callback to WWE, which AEW loves to do. So, I mean, if this is what Big Show wants, or I'm sorry, Paul wants, and Chris, I guess, I mean, good for them. I don't recall people loving their pairing this much, but when it was actually happening. But I guess, okay,
We'll
Tony, you did it. You did it again, Tony. You did it again.
I because you have Kenny Omega. The whole. So for anyone who's not familiar with this, they are taking on it's Jericho and Kenny Omega and Kota Ibushi taking on the Don Callis family. From the Kenny Omega standpoint, because they each had to get a guy. Don Callis is basically feuding with both of them. He has 4 guys, and they needed to get a guy each. That's how things work. So for Kenny to get his all-time best tag team partner in Kota Ibushi, everyone's a fan. Like wrestling fans love that tag team. They're both unbelievable in the ring. Greats of all time, all that. So you have that element where it's like, yeah, let's go. Kota Ibushi back in AEW, team with Kenny Omega. Awesome. And it's like Chris Jericho. It's like that. It's like he comes in, he's like, oh, who's my guy? Well, I just need a big guy. Who's the biggest guy I know? Well, it's Paul White. And the complete opposite reaction of, yeah, it's Big Show. Like the way he was standing at that entrance ramp could tell me he should not be in this match at all. And if Powerhouse Hobbs was not in this match, he probably wouldn't be. And we would have had another one of Jericho's all-time tag team partners. But, oh my God, I was just dying laughing when you just hear his music hit. And it's Paul White just standing crooked at the entrance ramp. Like his leg in a different direction than the rest of his body. And Powerhouse Hobbs has to act like he's terrified of this man. I'm like,
it's like he can barely move. What exactly are you afraid of, sir?
It's so funny. Like, it was absolutely incredible. Oh, I loved it. I loved it and hated it at the same time. It looked like he was wearing a diaper.
Maybe he was. You don't know his life.
I don't. We don't know that. The Jericho theme was really cool. It was really cool, actually. And Jericho. All right, moving
fact
on.
That they put so much money into that when it was probably not even supposed to last longer than like a day. It's pretty. It
lasted the 3-month reign.
Yeah. I just wouldn't be surprised if it's something that wasn't supposed to. You know what I mean?
And then this news also kind of tore the IWC in two. Kairi Sane officially has been announced. I don't know. I heard
not
it from
announced. It's just floating around.
Announced, tomato potato in our eyes. That Kairi Sane has officially been added to the internal roster. Conflicting reports from Wrestling News and Ringside, or it was Wrestling Insider, one of those. It's the guy with the blue profile picture. You know what I mean? And Ringside News going at it about if it was
Ringside
or
News
not.
is like a drunk, so
yeah, everyone is a drunk uncle. I got a family full of them. It's awesome.
All right,
keeps her entertaining, and this is what this was. It was just entertaining Twitter beef going through.
Well,
and then
anyway,
I'm getting there, and then finally confirmed, sort of whatever, that she is in the internal roster and her return debut, whatever you want to call it, is imminent. I'm very excited for this because I don't know what it is about Japanese women in wrestling. They're so like her, Asuka, Io. They just bring a different style that is so captivating and so fun to watch, and the high flying, and I don't know. I'm a big fan of it. So, and the whole pirate gimmick.
We're talking about WWE, guys. Yeah, WWE.
I thought that was a given. My bad.
Oh,
my bad.
So. Yeah, we were talking about it. I think we both predicted that she might be a part of the Io Sky Bianca match, whether she comes out afterwards or she's, an interference or something. I don't know. And I feel like if that's what they end up doing with her, that would be a big signal to like what they are going to do with her, because it's not cheap to just fly someone to Saudi Arabia.
No, it's not.
Just to have her interfere or just show up afterwards to like be like, hey, Io, I'm here, you know what I mean? Something like that. So that will be really interesting. I think that will be something kind of cool to look for in this match tomorrow. So yeah, I'm excited to see that. But regardless, even if it's not at Crown Jewel, it'll be pretty cool for her to be back. And it would be nice if she was I mean, I guess she doesn't have to be on SmackDown, but Asuka's not around. So I don't know what's going on with her. But that's the thing too. Don't bring Kari back and then like abandon Asuka.
No, yeah, no,
Which
you
they
need to
keep
intertwine
doing.
them.
They keep doing that. Like Asuka keeps just like going away, and I'm like, what is going on?
Build it, maybe. I don't know. It needs to happen. I am predicting. I predicted it on the Crown Jewel prediction show. We're gonna see Kairi Sane at Crown Jewel. We're absolutely gonna see her Crown Jewel.
Whatever you say.
So
I said it was possible.
I
don't make guarantees.
I don't make guarantees. Okay. Well, okay.
Well, I can't guarantee that someone's going to show up. I don't know her.
That's a hell of a way to do it. And then I'm gonna bring this up because we're talking about returns, and I want your thoughts about this. AJ Styles, and want to hear what the peeps know. Whatever. AJ Styles return is.
I still want to talk about one other thing too. If you're going to try and skip over something.
Oh, I'm not. I'm just it's about the Scottish man.
Yeah.
No, that's just getting added to the.
Oh, okay.
To 3 count.
All right.
So yeah, AJ Styles also making his return. Reported that he will be making his return November 10th, I think it was.
Coming back from heaven.
Coming back from heaven. November.
He's like
10th.
A Sims character, you know how you can like interact with ghosts. That's AJ Styles.
It basically is after he was destroyed by Solo Sikoa, which because of that, I believe he's going to make an appearance at Saudi.
I don't know about that, but I am excited to think about Roman versus AJ Styles. So, I am very excited about that because, man. It's so funny because when you think about these matches, you're like, oh yeah, it's going to be a banger, right? But usually when I'm thinking about it, I'm not thinking about Roman making it a banger.
No.
Because Roman is like, he's not a bad wrestler, but it's funny because I feel like he doesn't really get the same criticism that John Cena got, where people are like, he has the 5 moves of doom. It's like, okay, that's basically Roman. You know what I mean? But like, he doesn't get the same reaction. And I feel like he kind of deserves it because I would say that John Cena actually was more entertaining in the ring than Roman. But
yeah, okay.
But anyway, so I'm curious to see how that starts and when that happens, because as we've talked about, Roman is not scheduled for Survivor Series. So I just think that if they were going to bring AJ back, and that seemed like what they were planning for him versus Roman, they're going to have to figure something else out because if he's not going to be on Survivor Series, then obviously AJ versus Roman's not happening for a while because the next show after Survivor Series is Royal Rumble. And that feels like a really long time in advance to be planning for another title match, because that's 2 months in advance.
Yeah.
So that seems like a really long time. And that's why I feel like something has to happen at Survivor Series. I feel like Roman has to be there because it doesn't really make a whole lot of sense for him to not be there. But I don't know. I guess maybe we'll have to just deal with AJ versus Jimmy and AJ versus Solo for a while, I guess, until he conquers them and wants to get to the big dog. I don't know.
That's all I can think of is that he feuds with Solo a little bit because he wanted to end his career. Then you got to go through Jimmy. And then there's probably another wrench in the monkey, and then you gotta
and maybe
have your match at Royal Rumble.
Maybe he'll be a part of the team on Survivor Series or something, because it's like the bloodline versus whoever. I don't know.
Yeah, it's not brand. Oh, I like that. Maybe. Who knows?
Yeah,
who knows? We'll have to see. So I gotta wrap up the show here with the 1, 2, 3 count. LA Knights on my screen. Oh. You and I are on this one, and this man one will be on ours tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
But he went on Twitter or made a quote today, whatever it was, that he would be very open to bringing back Broken Dreams. I'm not quoting it verbatim, but he said that heard the. You can then do it, girl.
I still have it here.
You still have it up? I didn't think you did. Go for it.
Yep.
What is he remember?
He said on his TikTok when he responded to a fan about wanting to bring the song back. He said, "I see the Broken Dreams comments. I love it myself. I reference it all the time. We had it at Clash at the Castle in the UK, and they seem to know all the words. So when it comes back at some point in the future, everybody better know the words. I will push for it, and it will be there at some point." So,
I'll tell you, Drew.
Drew,
It comes on my shuffle way too often, and I listen to it way too often while I'm working. So I will know the words for sure. I could probably get 95% of them right now, but I won't.
it's kind of it's one of those things too that I feel like it wasn't appreciated when it was around. You know what I mean? Because I feel like it was always a song that people liked, but like when you associated it with Drew McIntyre, you know, the second coming, the chosen one of Vince McMahon, you didn't really think of it in a fond way, maybe because like no one really cared about that Drew McIntyre. So it almost feels like people started to like it once Drew kind of like reinvented himself and became the version that he is now, because I'm like, I don't remember people being like, this is a banger, man. Like, no.
I don't either. I don't remember wrestling themes being,
I know,
like a big thing that everyone sang along to in the crowd.
There was a few. Yeah, there was always like a few that people would sing along to, but it was
But
never like
forced.
it almost has become like a cult following. You
Oh,
know, like there's certain
absolutely.
ones that it's like, oh, and it's like Broken Dreams is one of them. Hence why they knew exactly what they were doing when they had him come out to that last year. So
They knew exactly what they were doing.
yeah, so I'm excited because I love it.
I love that. I cannot wait for that one. Speaking of music, did you see this? I just want to touch on this. This was so a clip came out of Jensen of the
Brooks Jensen
of, I forget the tag team name, but Fallon Henley's in it, and that girl has my heart. He came out to Journey's. Why can't I think of the name of the song?
Yeah, I don't know it. But it was a dark match, so that's why they were able to use copywritten music.
Exactly, which brings the question, Sarah, of why I even mentioned this. Do you think that WWE, or even AEW is a bad example, so WWE should do this for their superstars?
Yeah. I would love for them to pay up to have copywritten music used, because that's how some of their music used to be. Like Fred Durst, when Limp Bizkit, like that is so iconic. And I think that they were lucky with who they had, who coming up with original themes and whatever. But we're not really at that point anymore. We talk about like Johnny Gargano's song, like it's horrific now, and it was a banger before. And I think that sometimes the generic kind of sounding, or that this was created for them sounding theme just doesn't hit. And I feel like it's almost unfortunate that when they come to WWE that they can't use certain music,
Yeah, exactly.
And not all performers are going to be against their music being used, especially because it promotes them constantly. It's just going to depend on the person. Like maybe Journey doesn't want their music to be used in professional wrestling. Like, okay, that's fine. But especially ones that are like relevant right now, up and coming rappers or pop stars, whatever, why would they say no?
No, well, yeah, exactly.
It's free advertisement.
It's constant free advertisement. Now they probably have to pay a fee, whatever, but it works out both ways. Plus, then you get probably a live performance. You get some FaceTime on a massive platform. I don't know. And not a counterpoint, but more of an additional detail to what you said. Every single wrestler has had to have a copywritten song for their entrance when they were in the indies, minor leagues, whatever. We're at a point now where a lot of these guys are known for their songs, and they take their song places. And for instance, Grado, a European wrestler who I watched a Vice documentary about, he comes out to Madonna, Like a Prayer. But it's so synonymous with him that if you're at a wrestling show and you hear like a prayer, you think Grado's coming out. Or, you just said the Undertaker one.
Well, even like obviously they paid for Cult of Personality. So
that's not original D money sign or CFO, I mean, like
yes,
whatever.
yeah.
CFO is what I'm thinking of.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of one more. Well, a personal one, friend of the show, the Victorious BRG, who just made his first appearance in MLW, which is big. That's a big step for Brett. I'm very happy for him. Brett Ryan Gosling, he comes out to Sweet Victory, the SpongeBob song. And that's became his thing because he's the Victorious BRG. He comes out to Sweet Victory. He claims Sweet Victory. So when it becomes part of your gimmick too, that also is a real factor that if you just ante up the money a little bit, the return on investment with that may actually work out to making you more money because of a superstar's likeness. So I'm so for it. And like, look at Daniel Bryan. This is the only AEW example I'll give. Look at Daniel Bryan with Final Countdown.
Yeah.
He was known for that in Ring of Honor. Like that was his song.
I think to come out like it's probably just going to depend on who they are and how much it is, because I don't know how much like it really costs, but I feel like as long as whoever is wanting to use the song or something isn't like a really controversial figure or something, you know what I mean? Then I don't really see why artists would take such an issue with it as long as they got paid. Then I feel like, okay, I mean, because then it also becomes a stream, they upload it to streaming services, so they would get a cut of that too. Like it feels like a no-brainer, but again, I don't know how it all works. So
I don't know how it works. I have a friend. I know somebody in the music department. I like to answer. Whatever. Point is, all right. And then 3, we try to do it before Sara and her internet got into a little spat. Hearing from the peeps. All right. I would love the Thursday show to end with a question from one of you guys. All right. And you interact throughout the show. It's awesome. We really appreciate it. We love it. And I didn't even need to promote it throughout the show. We already had a question come in from our good pal, the King Razor. We always get that wrong, I feel like.
I think he used to be Kingdom of Razor, but he changed it.
He did, yeah. But he has a question for us, and it's a booking question, Sara.
Okay.
Involving you again. Booking Sara. Last week, you became women's champion, SmackDown women's champion. But you know what? No. Sorry, Razor, but we're switching this. You're the Raw women's champion.
Okay.
You're the Raw women's champion. And The Undertaker and Roman have invited you to be, we'll say, their mommy of the group. Well, mommy of the group. Which one are you choosing? So, for instance, because the only 2 factions I know of The Undertaker being and Roman being in, Bloodline.
Or the Shield.
Yeah, we'll go Shield because you're not in that bloodline. You are not Nanoe. I'll tell you right now. So we'll go Shield or Ministry of Darkness.
Well, don't you have to book me? You have to pick which one I'd go in.
Yeah, but give me a little, like, pitch it to me a little bit. Let's go both.
I already told you which one I'd be in.
Yeah, but like, here's the thing. I kind of want to see you with The Undertaker.
No, absolutely not.
I want to see.
No, he's already had a Sara. He doesn't need another one. Okay, he divorced her.
You know what? You might end up putting ink on his neck, and we don't need that.
Well, he already got it removed. Okay,
we don't need it twice. As I'm saying.
Yeah. So yeah, no, I'd have to be a Shield.
What if you're the next Sara?
Absolutely not. She was a fan. They met at a signing.
They met at a signing?
Yeah. I know. I was like, why can't I have that fate?
I know.
That's why I'm like, I need to slide in some DMs or something.
What if that happens in WrestleMania? We go to a signing.
Most of the people that I like are married or have girlfriends, so it's not going to happen.
I think I'd have to see if everyone I like has.
Finn is married. LA Knight is practically married. Cody Rhodes is married.
I know Kiana James is married or engaged.
Pretty Deadly are married or basically married.
Oh, they are? I didn't know that.
Yeah, Kit is married. Kit is married to a girl in NXT.
Oh. Roxanne Perez, I know, I think is seeing someone. Yeah, everyone else too. Yeah. So I don't think it's happening. But we know we can manifest it. We can try. I'm putting. You know what? I'll put you in Ministry of Darkness.
Why?
It probably won't go well. It probably will, and
I'm
it
firing
just
you
be.
as my booker.
You didn't let me finish, Sarah. I'm saying it probably is not going to go well for whatever reason, and then you end up joining the Shield.
Oh, okay.
But like, yeah, I think you could be like a nice little manager for the Shield.
Yeah.
I just really want to see you in Ministry of Darkness. I loved.
I was terrified of Kane. So back in the day,
yeah, I was
like Attitude Era. Kane scared the crap out of me. But I was also like 8 years old, so
I still have the thought of the dream I had when I was 4 years old that Kane chokeslammed me through a sewer, lit on fire, as my entire family watched. I am a 4-year-old boy, and Kane is chokeslamming me.
As your family just stood there like, yeah.
I'm not kidding. Yeah. That was it. Well, not the yeah. They were like, oh, my
No,
baby.
they were like, yes, yes.
Kane was so over in the Pitts family.
Yeah, that would be them now. They would have been terrified at you if that happened to you at 4 years old, but at your current age, they'd be like, yes.
Like, yes, finally.
Finally.
Oh, that's so funny. If you all right, we'll do one here because we have someone else, and I love answering questions from you guys. So make this a thing, all right? Make this like the official three count thing is the here from the peeps. So the last one, if you were to choose a main event for WrestleMania, who would your dream opponent be? Choose to main event WrestleMania. Who would your opponent be?
I would be, if it was a singles match, it would be me versus Trish or me versus Becky.
I think I would,
because I could also be the heel in this situation, either situation.
There's a lot that come to mind.
Patty Pitts versus The Rock.
No, if he's in my corner. He's in my corner.
Okay, so being managed by The Rock.
I would love The Rock to manage me so bad.
Me,
I would have to go heel because it would have to be a heel because I'm a face. Come on,
yeah.
Everyone loves the champ. Why am I blanking? I would. You know what? Screw it. I want Dominic Mysterio.
With Rey Mysterio in his corner or Mommy?
Yeah. Both. No. He'd get Mommy in his corner.
Okay.
And then Rey.
And you have The Rock?
No, I have Rey. I take it back.
Okay.
I would have Rey in my corner.
Oh, okay.
The Rock would just always be my manager or wherever, whatever. But he can be my manager. But if Rey was in my corner, I could pull up the whole family shit. I would cut an electric promo on Dominic. I would just cut him into pieces.
NWO Dennis Rodman. That's Pitts versus NWO Dennis Rodman. Versus NWO Mike Tyson. Also.
Oh my god. I'm cutting up Domino promo, and then do you think I could hit a Canadian Destroyer?
No.
Because that's my finishing move. Like that is it. But
I'm you would have to if it's your finisher.
Well, I mean, it's my favorite move ever. Now it's being overused, which I don't hate. Don't hate. I know the old school peeps are over the Destroyer being used, but I love it. So yeah, I'm hitting Dom with a Destroyer. Let's manifest that. I would love to hit him. All right. Enough nonsense. We thank you guys for tuning in to this edition. LOL. Damn right, Vinny. Oh, I wanted to get that banner away. I thought that would do it. Thank you all for tuning into this edition of Pitts and Sarah's Wrestling Show, where we take no nights off, baby. SmackDown's on right now. We got Crown Jewel tomorrow. I'm very excited. Sarah, you're very excited too. And I know the peeps are very excited for Crown Jewel. 1 p.m. start time for the East Coasters. And over you, Sarah, you get to wake up and flip on Peacock.
Mm-hmm.
And just watch wrestling to start your day. How jealous I am of that. So, yeah, subscribe, hit that subscribe button, bell notification to know when we go live. Check out our other videos in the archives. We where are we at for subscribers? Keep the subscriber count up.
1146.
1146. Get that to 1150 by Crown Jewel tomorrow. Okay, that would be really great. Okay, and that would make me and Sara very happy. So go do that. Go enjoy SmackDown. Go follow us on all other social media platforms, which are in the description below. So until then, we might be back for you. You want to pencil in a little reaction?
Maybe we could. Yeah.
We'll put a maybe on there. You gotta follow us on Twitter.
We'll see.
This is why you gotta follow us on Twitter and other social media platforms. Okay, so know when we do a reaction show, all that other stuff. So thank you guys for tuning in. God bless. Remember that you can do it. All you gotta do is try. We'll see you maybe tomorrow. Yeah.